Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Greg Cosell has been kind enough to accommodate our holiday schedule. We will not tape an episode of The Install on Thanksgiving morning. Although, Greg, I would not be shocked if you were planning on spending time at the office tomorrow, because I know what kind of sicko you are on a regular basis. Are you in fact going to go into the office and watch tape on Thanksgiving?
Yes, I will be here tomorrow morning early, and I'll probably be out by around 12:30, but I'll be in rather early. I won't say what time that is because it'll make me seem like I'm crazier than I really am.
I don't know if I think the fact alone that you are going to be in the office grinding tape before Thanksgiving is a telltale sign alone. You can, of course, subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you get your podcast. You can watch the normal episodes that we do each week on 104.5 The Zone's YouTube channel. Greg, it's been a lot of moral victory talk around here this week for Titans fans, because right now they are most concerned with two things: their draft position and the next head coach. But the other thing that they got, I mean, brother,
it's not even Thanksgiving. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and we're worried about draft position and the next head coach.
Listen to me, brother. You understand what my life has been.
You want to be.
That's been my life for 4 seasons now, Greg. I'm doing the best that I can at this point.
At least Tennessee upset Houston in college hoops, Buck. You know, gives you something to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how we opened the show today. God knows it's not 1 in 10 football. But
hey, and by the way, I watched the entire Indiana game last night. You had to be impressed.
I was very happy once they stopped turning the ball over in the first half. K-State has been the best team that they've played so far this year. I'm still scared of Louisville when we finally get into the month of December.
Yeah, well, they got Louisville and Kentucky coming up, and both are on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. Again, you say something nice about my basketball team, Greg, and then immediately give me PTSD afterwards. That's not helpful at this point in time.
Well, I was thinking of you because I watched that whole game last night, and then I went to bed because I was in this morning at like 5:15, so I had to go to bed after that.
Fair enough. A really good night of college hoops across the board. But for Titans fans, the moral victory is Cam Ward's performance now in back-to-back weeks against quality defenses. And Greg, I feel like the best thing that we can say right now about him is that I feel like he's starting to stack performances and show us some more consistency in some areas that he needs to work on. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the number one thing, and this is a very big deal. It's not a small thing, is he's not turned the ball over now in 3 consecutive games. And that might not seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal. I think that's the first thing. You cannot turn it over. And plus, as we know, he's not on a very good team. So if you turn the ball over, it just changes everything. It's funny. I spoke to the group at 3HL yesterday, and we went over Ward in detail, and there's good and there's things that are really fundamental to the position. And this is when I watch a quarterback, Buck, and you and I have been together now for a long time, so you know the way I look at the position. I look at the position as a coach. I don't look at the position as, he can make a play. Now, obviously, people, I'm sure, are excited about the play he made to Restrepo, where he was falling out of bounds, which had a Mahomes feel to it, or the play where he was falling down and he was able just to get the ball out and complete a pass. Those are we're not knocking those, believe me, but obviously those are not foundations of the position. So it just struck me, and I really studied him this week. I study him every week, as you know, but this week I just really decided to do kind of a really deep dive on every single drop. Look at his feet, look at the way he delivers the football, look at all those things that, to me, because I've been taught by coaches, that a coach should be looking at, because all that has to happen before you get to, is he making the right read? Is he understanding the coverage? Because if you don't play the position with any sense of the correct repetitive mechanics, at some point, the other stuff doesn't matter, because you're not going to be able to make the right throws. You're not going to be able to make accurate throws. You're not going to be able to make, I guess the easiest way to say would be to throw it to the right receiver at the right time with the right kind of throw, which is essentially what the quarterback position is. And he needs work on a lot of the fundamental details that, and they could be working. My guess is they're probably working with him on it every single day. But when you've played a certain way for years and years and years, that stuff takes time. But there's no question that mentally the game is getting better for him. I think he's truly understanding that you can't chase plays. You've got to just take the throws that present them to you. And then there's times you do make throws, like when he hit Prochet for 23 yards on the seam ball
Yeah.
when the middle was open. That's the throw you got to make. Middle's open. That's how they teach it. So, there's mentally, I think we're really seeing the kinds of improvements that we want to see on a week-to-week basis.
And the other component of this, Greg, is how much more he seems to be, at least in these last 2 weeks, and I don't want to make, too much out of a sample size of 2 games, but he does seem to be finding more opportunities to gain ground with his legs. Their third down percentage is up 10% alone. And my buddy Corey Curtis at the local ABC affiliate texted me this yesterday, simply because he is finding ways to extend drives. And again, these things are out of structure, but it's another component to his game that he seems more comfortable adding.
Yeah, and I think that, I know for a fact that the coaching staff has talked to him about that if he sees green grass and he can gain, if it's 3rd and 7 and you can gain 9, that's a good play. And he did that right on the first series, where he got a first down by running. And I think that's something they've talked to him about. Now, and you hope as a player progresses, you find the balance, because obviously you don't want to drop back and just take off. But if there is space in front of you, you want to be able to do that. And, is he a playmaker in the way that Mahomes is or Josh Allen is? Probably not at that level, but still, he is mobile. He's a good athlete. And I think a lot of this, Buck, is just coming from experience, and now he's just seeing things with a little more clarity. This takes time. And, not being on a good team, being in situations where it feels like you're behind all the time, that's tough on a quarterback, particularly on a rookie quarterback. Look, he was, I believe, 28 for 42 this week. You still would love to be in a situation where he doesn't have to have, 40-plus dropbacks in a game. But when you do, the good thing is you didn't really see any throws that were head scratchers. You didn't really, he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't turn the ball over. And these are all positives. There has to be a starting point, and you keep working and working and working. And in an ideal world, and here we are back again talking about the next head coach. But I mean, in an ideal world, the next head coach, whoever it is, and whoever becomes the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach, they just keep working with him on these little details of the position that they're little details, but they're major things.
I mean, Greg, he has no choice but to drop back as often as he has. They cannot run the ball. They cannot run the ball at all. It's insane to talk about the Tennessee Titans, given who they've been their entire franchise's existence, and to see this product on the ground, it's unthinkable to me.
No, and that's a problem as well. And I'm sure you've spoken about it. Obviously I'm not listening down in Tennessee, but
hurtful.
The offensive line has just not been very good. And I think that the pedigree they have there, it's been surprising to people, but it's just not been very good. And that's been a problem. I mean, I think they anticipated, and you and I spoke about this in the offseason, that, hey, we expected the O-line, no one thought they'd be top 5 in the league, but that they'd be a solid O-line. And they really haven't been. And, again, I don't know what the next step there is. I don't know. J.C. Latham has certainly not advanced in the way they had hoped. I guess we have to wait and see. They're certainly not going to cut him after this season. He was a first-round pick and a high first-round pick. So we'll see. I think Skoronski's become a nice, solid pro, which is what I think most people thought he'd be. I don't think anybody thought he'd become Quentin Nelson, but I think they thought he'd be a nice, solid pro. And that's what he is. Moore has been a disappointment on left tackle. So the tackle positions have been, a disappointment. I don't think Cushenberry, and again, he had a very serious injury. I don't think he's played as well as he probably, as people probably hoped. And I think he'd probably tell you the same thing. So the O-line just hasn't been what was expected. And you're right. If you have a rookie quarterback and you can't run the ball at all and you can't count on it to any real meaningful degree, boy, does that make things hard.
Greg Cosell of NFL Films is kind enough to visit with us live on the radio show as opposed to our regular taping on Thursday mornings. At Greg Cosell, of course, is where you can follow along. The NFL Matchup Show. We'll get into some of the games, not just tomorrow, but throughout the course of a jam-packed football weekend here in just a second. You can catch the NFL Matchup Show on ESPN Plus on demand. You can watch it live on Saturday mornings. You can set your DVR, as I do, and you can watch it as you please. Greg, before we move on to Jacksonville, who comes to Tennessee, of course, in Week 13, the Titans' defensive front has been a talking point for us the last couple of weeks. You've kind of diagnosed some of the ways that they're overachieving, and I thought that they did well to make Sam Darnold uncomfortable in this game. Again, they still have JSN, who's an excellent player, is going to make that 63-yard contested catch. Is just, it's beautiful. Like it will make you tear your hair out if you're on the opposing sideline, but still, there's only so much you can do against a player like that. What do you make of the way that the Titans defense played the Seahawks up front this week?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think, Buck, they played great. I thought it was uneven. I thought they had flashes. But overall, I thought the Seahawks had some success running the ball. There was a third quarter possession where they had great success out of base personnel. You saw consecutive Walker runs of 19 and 11 yards. I thought Simmons early in the fourth quarter had some dominant snaps where you just saw the combination of quickness and strength and power that makes him one of the best in the league. But overall, I thought that it was okay. I didn't think it was great. The other issue in this game on defense, and again, you're dealing with corners unfortunately, there's a lot of positions they need to address in the offseason, and you can't address every single one. So you have to sort of decide where you want to, pick your poison, as it were. But in this game, they didn't blitz a ton. They rushed 5 or more on 7 of Darnold's 27 dropbacks, which is, 25%. But versus blitz, Darnold was 7 for 7 for 136 yards, with 5 of the completions resulting in first down. So when they did choose to pressure, they really did not have much success at all. Now, the Seahawks only ran 47 offensive plays, and they only had the ball for about 22 minutes. Yeah. So, it was an odd kind of game because they hit some big plays, obviously. We don't need to rehash those. But, if you're looking for positives, there's always Simmons. I thought Kevin Winston, he shows up. He got beat a couple of times, and he got beat on one long pass to Smith and Jigba, but he was put in a tough spot, 1-on-1 with Smith and Jigba. That's a tough spot to be in for a safety. So, I think overall, Gray's probably shown well this season that they could count on him being a starting stack backer as they go forward. And obviously they signed Bart, and I assume he'd be here again next year. But yeah, it's just one of those things, and you hate to say it, but it seems like there's a lot of areas that need to be improved. And as you know, it's hard to do all that in one off season.
The Jags have won 7 games so far this year, and I don't want to discount Trevor Lawrence's role in it, Greg, but he still seems to show some very normal or regular inconsistencies at this point in his career. How would you diagnose him, the former number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, to me, he's a very uneven player. I mean, he obviously has physical traits. He's big. He can throw the ball. He has a good arm, not a big arm, the way I think a lot of people think. He doesn't have a gun. But there's just, at times when I watch him, Buck, and I've been feeling this way for years, and it's still showing up, and he's played long enough where I feel like he should be beyond this. Maybe this is who he is, that he just at times doesn't see it quick enough or the right way. He threw a pick this week against Arizona right in the middle of the field. I'm sure you saw it. I think a linebacker made the pick. I'm trying to remember. He threw 3 of them. And it's one of those where I just say to myself, what did he see? I'd love to be able to, because I'm sure the coaches, when either they get to the sideline or they're working on film the next day, it's, hey, what did you see? What was the thought process? Because that's the way, coaches deal with these things, and sometimes when I watch him, I feel like that I have to ask that question to myself as I'm sitting here watching tape too often. What does he see? And obviously I'm not getting a direct line to Trevor Lawrence, so I don't know the answer to that question, but it just seems to me it crops up too often.
So we will see if the Titans can get an AFC South win for the first time this season, hosting the Jags this coming weekend here at Nissan Stadium, the last of their 3 home games before they go on the road to Cleveland and then San Francisco. Some Thursday football, Greg, some Thanksgiving football, good games all over the board. With the Packers and the Lions, speaking of inconsistent, the Packers offense has been such a hot topic so far this year. What do you think is the thing that's been causing them so much difficulty? Is it as simple as Tucker Kraft not being in the lineup for them?
Well, that's a big deal. But, it's interesting. I think the one thing that they can do, and they showed it last week, even without Josh Jacobs, is they can win both running and throwing. Now, I know their offense has not been great in terms of putting up points, but in watching tape, I feel Jordan Love has actually had a very good season. He's not turning the ball over. He can make throws. I mean, this week they never really pushed the ball down the field. The game played out where they didn't have to. I mean, it was probably not on anyone's bingo card going into the game that Emmanuel Wilson would have 28 carries, but they can play multiple ways and be effective. I don't know what Josh Jacobs' status is for tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to dramatically change the way they play. The other side of the ball, my big, bold, controversial statement for the week is that Jahmyr Gibbs is fast, and he'll probably still be fast tomorrow.
Yes, I think that is an accurate assessment. A hill to die on for Greg Cosell of NFL Films. The Chiefs and Colts were a fascinating game. I went back and watched it after the fact because we had Mike McCoy's press conference to wrap up on Sunday. But the way that the Chiefs rallied back, it's not like all of their ills are fixed, and they still have some things clearly to work through on both sides of the ball. But this matchup against the Cowboys and what the Cowboys were able to do, speaking of rallying back, what stands out to you about the matchups that will define this game?
This is a fascinating game because the Cowboys, we know they have a very good offense, and they can both run it. I mean, people would probably be surprised that Javonte Williams has the second most first down rushes of any running back in the league. And believe it or not, he has more first down rushes than Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure people would be surprised by that. So they can both run it and they can throw it. And their defense is getting better. The interior of their defensive line has some really good players now. So this is not an easy defensive line to play against. It's at the corner position where there are concerns. And I watched Mahomes this week, and he is such an interesting player to watch, Buck, because he's really a playmaker more than a refined pocket technician. Not that he can't make throws, but that's not really the way he plays. He's very instinctive, and he does things that you'd probably never teach anyone to do, playing the position, but he does them. And it seems like he does them all the time, or, relatively all the time. He has unbelievable vision, great awareness. He sees everything. And the scrambling ability is a big, big factor. And the ball placement, he rarely misses throws. But he moves a lot when he doesn't have to. The pass game doesn't really have any kind of refined, nuanced sense of timing and rhythm. But, he's truly the kind of quarterback. And believe me, you know how I study quarterbacks. He's truly the kind of quarterback that you say he just makes plays. And, that's kind of who he is. And it's a hard way to go, but he can do it. And he's been doing it for years.
He's Greg Cosell of NFL Films. He is kind enough to make some time for us on this Wednesday morning. Buddy, I appreciate you as always. Enjoy the football, enjoy the tape grind tomorrow, and certainly take some time to enjoy family and Thanksgiving. We appreciate you.
I will do that for sure, Buck. Appreciate
Love you,
it.
Greg.
Thanks.
We're thankful for you.
Can you not yell over him?
We're very thankful for you, Greg.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
I love you so much.
Love you guys.
Excellent contribution by Robert. All right, that's Greg Cosell of NFL Films. I hate you. I don't love you at all. I hate you. I want you to know that.
Why would you talk to Greg like that?
I'm not thankful for you at all, in any way, shape, or form.
It's despicable you would talk about Greg like that.
You are the bane of my existence.
Yeah, he's still here. He can still hear you.
I'm certain that he knows I'm not talking about him at